All right. It's time for off and on the clock. You guys punch out. We are going to punch into these underdog draft rooms. I'm here with Neumy no Neumy today. Jeez. I'm here with Nez and John Warder. We are going to go through this entire underdog slate. We'll talk through 6-person draft strategy on Battle Royale, the 12-person as we all continue to chase Nez down to Miami. And of course, my new favorite, building some pick'em entries with the fellas. Let's do it. Off and on the clock. I think Neumy's just he's the funnest name to say. Nez is a fun one to say too, but Neumy's just so fun to say. I just was trying to will him into existence, but he's nowhere to be found.
I mean, John's awful to say.
John's a pretty boring name to say. John and Peter, there's nothing fun there.
Yeah, just these two generic guys.
We should mention, have you guys already, kind of let people know, the show's going to be over on this channel on Fridays? Have you done all that housekeeping?
I think it's better to do it again.
Well, this is your guys' channel, so you explain to people.
Yeah, so from here on out, foreseeable future, the Monday, Wednesday, and then Fridays, this off and on the clock, are going to reside on the BadgeBros channel, no longer on the Underdog Daily channel going forward. So there it is.
There you go. Same show, same great hosts. Just a new channel, one that you're already very familiar with. How are you guys feeling about this slate so far? I feel like I haven't gotten to get in quite as many of the Battle Royale drafts. Have been piling into the dog bowls. But yeah, how are you guys feeling about things so far?
I was just telling John that I'm kind of like back and forth, where I started off like really liking the slate, and then I felt like I was missing some things. But now I think I'm back on track, where I do feel like I have a good feel for things. I think that this was one of the more shifting ADP landscapes that I've seen in a while on Underdog. I mean, John and I did a show. Fields was QB7, and then I woke up and he was like QB4. I don't know what happened. So like there's just a lot changing. And the way, I mean, and once again, we're seeing ETR projections differ big time from ADP. So like there's just so much that and it felt wrong, right? ADP just didn't feel right from the jump, but now that we have like the projections to kind of confirm that, it's once again going to be just like a crazy weekend of drafts, I think.
It's funny you say that too about the projections in the rankings or ADP being so different, because it's like, I know early week dog bowl, like a really funny example is Devin Singletary. You could get him like with literally the last pick in the draft, last round. I took him multiple times, and I was doing my draft this morning and he goes in the early second round because ETR has him at running back 5. I actually pinged Leone about that last night. I was like, because they didn't seem like they had done like a really manual finesse to their rankings yet. And I was like, I just making sure, is this Devin Singletary RB5? And he's like, yeah, it's all kind of jumbled up there, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct. So there you go. Devin Singletary, ETR's RB5. And so you'll see just a wild variation of where Singletary goes in the 12-person drafts this week.
It's eerily reminiscent of the week that AJ Dillon was RB5 in their rankings. Do you guys remember that? It was like week 4 or 5. Projections came out. They didn't think Aaron Jones was going to play, and then for whatever reason, he was just popping on their back end stuff, and then they manually adjusted closer to slate lock. I think Singletary's a much better play this week than that. It was just like that was my first inclination. Was like, oh, this is eerily similar to what happened there. Like, is there a miscalc? But I don't know, 30 carries last week. I mean, they clearly like him for that outside zone run scheme. So, yeah, I think
question for you guys just on that dynamic. And I remember this always plays out in best ball too, of like, when Darrell Henderson jumps up 8 rounds and everyone's like, oh, you can't draft Darrell Henderson. Like, do you guys think about, getting off players? Like, let's just say from this point forward, Devin Singletary is going in the second round of all these drafts. Do you worry about competing against, specifically in the 12-person drafts? I think it's less of an issue in the 6-person, but do you worry about like, hey, I'm competing against all these early 6th round teams, or is it still just 6 roster spots? It's not that big of a deal.
I think it's definitely like a concern. I'm not like second round, I think is definitely like a bridge too far. Like if he's going in the second round, like it's not that like it's a no-go. It's just like I just like more guys than Devin Singletary in the second round.
Yeah.
But if he falls in the mid third, then yeah, I'll be more willing to take him. Like it is kind of like, you know, you just got to swallow your pride. And like I'll admit, like I did not have Devin Singletary RB5 in my personal rankings coming into this slate. Like, you know, so I'm trying to like middle ground it a little bit. Like, okay, do I want to completely just like capitulate and just be you know, just full
Fade
1-to-1 with with the projections, or actually you know, just have my own thoughts. But I think you will be able to get Singletary at discounts in certain rooms. But yeah, I think if you want to fade him, like I think that is a perfectly reasonable stance.
And I will also say, and you know, this is something I've very much been focusing on, but like talking about Singletary maybe being a rough pick in the 12 person in the dog bowl, an awesome pick in the battle royales. Like his draft percentage is still really low. I'm sure that's going to trickle up just because of those rankings, but I would still be shocked if he comes in over 50-60% rostered on the week.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I think this, like the overarching slate dynamic here is really interesting because it's something we haven't seen in a while. Is we're seeing quarterback fall like crazy. We're seeing tight end be really condensed, and then we're seeing the skill position players outside of like the top 8 that go. You can make a case for anybody. Like, you know, like
gross.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful disaster, Pete.
That is the glass half full. I guess I've just been in too many of these 12-person drafts where I have like Puka and Debo queued up, and then they go, and I'm like, it literally, all the players are the same after that.
Yeah, I think too, just to like tie a bow on the like the Devin Singletary stuff is in the 6-person drafts. I mean, obviously the most RBs that can be taken in one lobby is 12, and I mean, like I could probably name you 12 running backs that have, in my opinion, like similar outcomes to Devin Singletary on the slate. So yeah, that's definitely, I think, the place to get your Devin Singletary. Maybe even take it one step further. Get your Devin Singletary in the rake-free BadgeBros Brawl 3-person drafts.
Oh, there you go. There's the leverage, right? I mean, that's actually a really sharp point, Nez, that we probably negate too much as we talk about all these plays on like a macro level. And hey, do we like this guy? Do we like this guy at ADP? Each of these slates are the exact same, but every contest is distinctly different. So Devin Singletary represents, you know, leverage in the BadgeBros contest, but he becomes bad chalk in the 12 persons if you're pushing him up to the second round. It's very interesting.
It's the same thing for, you know, redacted. I mean, the Cardinals wide receivers are all pacing to be mega chalk, as is Trey McBride. Like 4 of the highest, you know, most popular plays are going to be Cardinals. And then you can head over to Battle Royale and you can get massive leverage on the McBride ADP by stacking Kyler up with Marquise Brown or any of those guys. If you have a favorite of Michael Wilson, Rondell Moore, like those guys aren't getting drafted. And they're like incredible plays on Battle Royale in the worst possible play on redacted. And I know that's still hard for some people to wrap their heads around, but that stuff really matters.
I keep saying it like every week. Like I just need like something to plug in Underdog ADP, redacted salary, and just do a comparison. That way it's just like, that way there's no more like mind melding of this stuff. It's just like, here you go, people. Here is your direct comparison to salary. And now we can just like easily make these comparisons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can do like the 1-for-1. Like you can say like Rondell Moore and Michael Wilson are going to be sub 1% in Battle Royale. And they're going to be like 25 to 30% on redacted. I mean, that's about as plain, you know, as you can spell it out. True. And it's like, if you told me on redacted, I could play Rondell Moore at that price at 1%, I'd be like, sign me up. That's an awesome play.
It's interesting though. Like the one step further to that is like what they do for you as 30% own on redacted is they free up your ability to get to other things, right? Whereas here it doesn't do that. You're just sacrificing projection in the 6th round comparative to another play in the 6th round. So like taking Michael Wilson instead of taking Marquise Brown, like it's kind of like, well, why? But like it's interesting. I don't know what the correct answer is there, but it's like because what you do to free up, how do we free up on this site other than chasing the GMs?
That's a really good point. And I was thinking that through I was trying to think through like dog bowl leverage picks this week, and then realizing like, you know, take someone like the Giants wide receivers, right? No one's taking Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson. I actually think they're both in pretty decent spots. No one wants to deal with DeVito or whatever, but you're like, what do you win even if you hit on Wan'Dale Robinson? Like, is he going to be able to outscore the rest of the 6th round picks at enough of a clip to even justify taking on that risk. Where it's like, even if you're right on Wan'Dale Robinson, he might still only score 12 underdog points. And it's like, is that helping you? And so really thinking through, what are the profiles of the guys I'm scrolling down for? Can they actually beat those guys out raw points wise?
Yeah, I kind of think back to the Crutches example from 2 weeks ago, whenever we had him on the show there, that he aped into 70% Kendrick Bourne because he thought in the 6th round of a dog bowl, that guy could break the slate. And then he thought it was a great spot, gets the touchdown from him, then he winds up getting injured or whatever. But now when you think about that play through the lens of, could he really separate to the degree which was necessary versus the Tyler Lockett's of the world or the Jahan Dotsons of the world that are available back there? I don't know.
Yeah. I think, it does to me depend on like the profile. Like, and that's why if I was doing the Giants play, I do think I would want to do it with Darius Slayton. It's like, no Jalen Hyatt. We've seen the deep shots. We saw them chucking it a ton in their negative game script last week. If he connects, you probably need like 100-yard game and a touchdown from Wan'Dale Robinson, which with his profile is much harder. Whereas Slayton could get 80% of the way there on like one play with how he's used. So that's the kind of stuff I was starting to think about. Like, I still want to seek out that leverage because a lot of those 6th-round picks are still really fragile. And if you scroll just a bit more down, the projections aren't that different with some of those other guys.
The 6th round is definitely where like these things are won in all these contests across like all of Underdog. I think like, we have a lot of condensed chalk. We have really good projections. We know who the best plays are 1 through 40. And then when you get to the 6th round of any contest, I think that is where like you really need to think about like the anatomy of a 6th-round pick. And we've seen a lot in dog bowls where players will put up like single-digit points and still be found in like winning dog bowl qualifying lineups. And I think that just leads me to Wan'Dale. Like I really do like Wan'Dale this week. I hear you about like Slayton, and like I do think Slayton's ceiling is probably higher, but man, I'm going to be really into Wan'Dale this week. Like the Commanders are, it's just like, so I just try to simplify my process. And one of my processes is, hey, who's playing the Commanders this week? Okay. I'll take those players.
It's interesting because I feel the other end of the spectrum where it's like chasing Wan'Dale's profile makes a lot of sense in a full PPR site. And here it's just like, what's his touchdown upside or like total yardage? Like, can he take a slant to the house? Yeah, probably. But like his ADOT's so low, his ability to score in the red zone because of his size is so much lower than anyone else on that offense. I don't know. It's weird when you factor in the scoring.
Yeah, I'm just the guy that's just like, my 6th-round picks are almost always condom plays. And it's just like, hey, who's the guy that can get volume and like give me 10 points? Like, cool. Like I'll take that. Like I just don't want to lose on this entry, partly because of the promo, partly because I've seen, these high floor, low ceiling guys be useful in dog bowls.
Mm-hmm. I will say, like, I often have like a plan that I want to execute in the dog bowl of like a correlated stack or whatever. Yeah. And if it gets blown up, like I'm just taking the highest projected dude. I'm going to just try to get my money back and move on to the next entry. Yeah. I'm not trying to like galaxy brain, like the 4th-string wide receiver to make the stack work. It's just like, I got sniped at a brutal one where I was trying to get Sam Howell coming back to a Terry McLaurin team I had, and a guy went Brian Robinson, which that pick has aged well, and then Sam Howell on a team where he had both of the Rams wide receivers. And I was just like, I had set it up where I'm like, he's the only other guy that needs a quarterback. He's going to take Stafford to double stack it. And I was like, God fucking damn it. And, that I just take whoever was the highest projected quarterback unstacked. I did just put in the hopper, John. I wanted to shout out Bobby Stats. He put together dog bowl qualifier ownership tool. So similar to what Chad has done here. And I'll drop the link in the chat as well. I'm pretty sure he has it pinned in the BadgeBros channel. Or actually, why am I not allowed to chat in here? John, can you drop this link? I'll put it in our Discord. But very fun here too. Similar to what you're able to do, it's harder to get the ADPs for this. He's been getting the dog bowl draft boards. There's a thread in the Discord there. People have been posting it. So he has 36 drafts, which is a pretty good sample size here. And you can go through and look at the ownership percentages here. You can see Trevor Lawrence only drafted 70% of the time relative to some of these other guys. You can then maybe find some low owned gems. Jerome Ford only going 50. So very valuable tool for dog bowl. So shout out to Bobby Stats.
That's very cool.
And very well presented, like to make it a little like app looking like this. Be
Yeah.
legit. Well, actually, before I'll drop this in the chat in 1 second. I had something else in Discord already pulled out. I got to give a community shout out to the Hoop Streets because we haven't had a show since Wednesday. Nez with 2 top 10s on Wednesday there. Golf claps for you, my friend. And then last night, Andy takes down first. Explicit takes second, and Brad W takes third. So big shouts there to Brigade just doing work in all sports right now.
You guys are crushing it over there. What did Andy win, or what did he have?
Yeah, he won. He won
took
last
first.
night.
Yeah, super gross slate. But that's what we do. That's what we do.
Look at what this boomer just did. I just linked to our Discord conversation instead of just linking to Bobby's stats, whatever.
Did I ever tell you guys the Crack Rock story from that? Like that same thing? So
what happened?
We have like, for all of our high stakes teams, we have different Discord chats, to talk about the specific waivers with the co-manager. And so we have one with Crack Rock. And he thought he was inviting people to the ship chasing Discord to come talk. He invited people to the specific DM group just for us in there. So there's like 9 people that are click this link on Twitter. And I'm like, at first, because Crack Rock infamously has all of his waiver interns, and I'm like, is this his army of waiver interns just piling into this group chat? And then I realize this fucking boomer posted it on Twitter, just a link to a private DM group. So you got to be careful.
I think that's what I just did too.
Jesus, we're gonna have to do a whole new chat. I could totally see Crack Rock having like somebody coming in for you're about to do a big acquisition like for in a company. He just brings in all his guys.
One of the guys who came in too was like, it was like John Ewing from the Action Network. I was like, are you one of Crack Rock's interns? He was like, I know. I just saw a link from Crack Rock and I clicked it. I was like, if there's one guy I would be careful about just randomly always clicking his links, it probably would be Crack Rock.
God almighty.
That's so true. So how do I delete this?
I don't think it works like that, man. It says verification needed. I think you're safe. Trust me. I immediately checked it out. That's so funny.
Yeah, I was trying to just delete the message, and for whatever reason, I can't here. Like it just says ban user or not. Anyway.
Yeah, what happens when you ban yourself on your own stream? Just implodes on itself.
Yeah. Right now, our group chat is just me asking Neumy when I'm going to get spice on my systems over and over.
Oh, man. Should we talk about some games we like?
Yeah.
Pull it up.
Should I pull it up? Okay. Let's do that. Let's do this. Cool. I'll admit, Pete, we were, or maybe me specifically, on Wednesday, and based on my drafts, I've been quite into Cardinals Texans, and then hearing Mark poo-poo it on the block party there has given me a little pause, and I'm a little scared now. Let's start with that one. How do you guys feel?
Well, first of all, I'll just say I think he was poo-pooing all of the Cardinals chalk. He was very into the Texans side of it. And my guess is if you removed a lot of that chalk, I think he was pretty into it. But I think more so just playing it through the Texan side and being surprised that like, if you just completely in a vacuum, remove like ownership and price, like you'd want to play this through the Texans, right? Like give me CJ Stroud. I mean, I know we're excited about Trey McBride, but I think like median expectation, Dalton Schultz isn't that far off. The wide receivers, I think, are arguably more exciting. It's a better matchup for the Texans pass catchers than it is for the Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals have been good, the Texans have been good against outside wide receivers. It's why Trey McBride's projection is so good because they've been so vulnerable to tight ends. But like, they're going to be easy fades for me on redacted. And I am like a little hesitant to pile in on Cardinals here when I'd prefer to just play it through the Texans.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean Murray too is getting a lot of love in these drafts. I was thinking that I could do like a cheeky little McBride to Murray stack and take Kyler like in the 4th round of a 12th round of a 12-person draft, and that's just like not the case right now. And McBride as well, I think is like tight end 2 or 3
Yeah.
on the slate on Underdog. So I mean, it is kind of shaping up to be a similar thesis as Mark was saying with Redacted on our site, just because it does seem to be like a lot of ownership coming in. That being said, man, I am like very much into Kyler and McBride. Like I mean, I saw enough. Kyler looks like he has it, and with this total being a 48, 5.5 spread, I'm into it, man. I can't help myself. I'm fully back in.
Yeah, highest total on the slate. Like their prices are more suppressed than the Lions that are propped up, than the Chargers that are propped up, than the Dolphins that are propped up. I just keep finding myself like finding unique ways to game stack that in the 3rd through 6th round.
Well, that is the name of the game, right? Because there's so many players in this game that you can mix and match, that in the 6-person drafts are just going to have so little field exposure, right? Like all those wide receivers, the Rondell Moore, Michael Wilson, even Marquise Brown's barely getting drafted. I mean, outside of McBride, you can basically attack this however you want from a pretty
Right.
unique angle. I
Yeah,
think
and then you
one
throw in
thing,
the fact that the Singletary plays projecting so well and going largely undrafted in the 6s, that
yep.
there's even like positive leverage in attacking it through what should be a chalky play. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys use in, say, a battle royale? Would you do a Stroud Singletary pass catcher, or would you only do Stroud with pass catchers?
I've done it with all 3 this week.
I think all 3 are viable. I do.
Yeah. I think with that team total and with the exposure being so low, I am completely okay with it. I'd be more hesitant doing it with a trio that were all getting drafted in 100%. Like for example, I guess like the Lions, because I'm really in on Laporta, ARSB, Goff. Those are some of my most drafted guys this week. And I've been taking like one-off Gibbs stuff, but I've been playing it more as like the alpha Gibbs game, the alpha Montgomery game, as opposed to doing like Goff, Gibbs, ARSB. Like I think when you factor in that exposure stuff, it makes the Singletary version so much more viable.
What do you think about this game in general? I mean, 48 total. Do you agree with this spread? Like, I think we should just like start there. 7.5. Like, the Bears low key have been playing better. They get Justin Fields back. I know the Lions have just been like crushing teams and running so hot offensively. Like, where do you see this game going? Because I think it kind of that will, I think, dictate like what players you take on the Lions, how you think this game plays out.
I think the beauty of this game is you can paint the script any which way you want, right? Like you can paint that shootout narrative, or you can paint that, hey, who is the number 1 team to establish it in the red zone? The Lions. Who is the number 1 team to want to run through their quarterback and through Foreman? The Bears. Like that game could bleed a whole lot of clock early. And then if you give the Bears run defense and the Lions run defense the credit in which you want, this could be a considerably uglier ball game than what we saw last week from the Lions versus the Chargers, where they put up 41 or whatever it is there. Long-winded way to say I don't think that's the most likely outcome, but I do think you can paint this through all pieces of it, and that's what makes the roster construction of it fun.
You also, like on the Bears side, right? Like the spread indicates they're going to be in a negative game script. The Lions are pretty hard to run on. And now you have a mess of a backfield with Khalil Herbert back as well. So it's like really hard to justify a Bears running back click. But DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and even Darnell Mooney, I think are in play on the Bears side. I don't know if there's a third guy outside of those guys that I would consider though on the Bears.
That's why I feel like that's like concentrated. And then it's like, game script, how do you feel? And then that's where you make your Lions decisions, because that to me is like the big deciding factor in how you think this game will play out.
Yeah, that's fair. That's, you know what? This might be kind of a lazy comp because it was yesterday, but like, doesn't it kind of feel like last night's game where you could just be like, both quarterbacks are in play. two running backs on one side. We don't know which it's going to be. One's the home run hitter, one's the other one. We don't know which pass catcher it's going to be from the Bears side. So most people are just going to run, naked Lamar, aka naked Fields on this side. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could paint kind of like
Dude, I legitimately got a pit in my stomach with you comparing anything to last night's game. Like that was just so I was like, please do not compare anything to what happened last night. Yeah. We lose Mark Andrews and Joe Burrow for the season.
You're directionally accurate. The over still hit. Pat yourself on the back, man.
But I know what you mean. Yeah, and I mean in the dome, you get the Fields, which unlocks more as like two of the biggest speed up the game type players, right? I mean, that's what like Fields is capable of taking it to the house from 50 yards. DJ Moore can take any pass to the house in the dome. That's exactly what you want. I do think there is the risk. Like if I was building out 20 stacks of this game, I would probably want to have like 12 or 13 of them being Lions with no bringbacks. I think I would be overweight on just Lions side and then have like 6 or 7 playing it through like the Fields, DJ Moore stuff.
I've done quite a few running back plus tight end from just Lions side and then either naked Fields or nobody on the other side.
Yeah, I think naked Fields is definitely in play. It's hard to pass up DJ Moore with him. But I mean, I completely get it.
The one thing that'll go crazy under owned too is naked DJ Moore, because basically DJ Moore's ADP has raised in combo with Fields. It's just like those two are kind of like moving up the board in unison. So I don't know, maybe it's a little gal brain, but if you want to like a little leverage mini correlation from this game, and then maybe a Josh Allen skinny from somewhere else, or even the Kyler skinny or the Trout skinny from somewhere else, I could see that having some merit too. You guys want to hear my grossest stat of the week?
Oh, I'd love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Which game has the fastest pace in terms of neutral seconds to ball being snapped this week?
Well, I did read Thorman's pace game. I know Green Bay Packers was in it. Is this the one you're going to?
It's not that one.
Okay.
It was in Thorman's one. This actual like stat is from Draft Sharks from Sam. I'm blanking on his last name.
Reveal it.
It is Jets Bills.
Huh.
Jets have been playing fast, apparently. And that seems good for the Bills side, even though everything about this game screams that it should be the ugly mess that we saw in week 1 all over again with good Jets defense, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It was just one that jumped to me. It's also the Jets of any team on the slate have allowed/contributed the lowest amount of points total per game this season. So they're not allowing points or scoring points. So it's pretty disgusting to want to go to a game involving the Jets. But I kind of like the Bills side a little bit more right now than I think the field does, because I think we're getting pretty heavy tunnel vision on them not scoring touchdowns and them being bad as a football team, where their offense has actually been good this year.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about too, John, on Wednesday, like our first look at this stuff. We didn't have projections yet, and we were like, Josh Allen right now is like QB5, I think at the time, or QB4 buried. We're like, he's going to project I think we said top 2 or top 3, and he's projecting by ETR as the best quarterback on the slate. So there's definitely people like not excited about this game on Underdog, not wanting to pay the price you need to pay to get, or not wanting to pay. I mean, they're free essentially, right? I mean, to get the top projected quarterback on the slate, you are giving up like no draft capital. Like Diggs and Allen are just like literally
there
free
every
this
time.
week.
Yeah, and nobody takes James Cook. Nobody takes Gabe Davis. Like the Dalton Kincaid and Allen stack is like a fallback in the 3rd and 4th round over and over again. Man, if you think like they just punch in a couple of those touchdowns, you don't fire the offensive coordinator, and they win last week, Josh Allen is probably going like, maybe there's a little bit of Jets FUD in terms of like just the defense in the spot, but Josh Allen is going no further than 10 or 12 on this slate. I don't know.
They're running him more too, So
right, yeah.
The other really interesting thing about that, and I'm always trying to like get off of my, bring back bullshit, but like Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson both look like two of the better scroll down plays. From what I'm seeing, they're getting drafted in less than 15% of battle royales. I would not really use both of those guys together ever, but those guys as like one-offs as part of Josh Allen, Bill stuff, I think makes a ton of sense, right? Like if the Bills are going to get pushed here, like one of Brees Hall or Garrett Wilson has to have a pretty big game, I think.
Yeah, and I tend to lean the way of Brees. We used him on the cover on Wednesday there. Just the absence of Michael Carter now, the fact that he broke off that 83-yard run or whatever it was to the house in week 1 against this same Bills team. Bills defense is just decimated, man. Like it's ugly out there for them. And if you're going to want to have any chance of winning this, the Jets are going to have to establish control, clock, blah, blah, blah. He just feels like uptick in pass roll because Carter's gone and explosive plays. We've seen them literally verse this defense this year.
Yep. Yeah, I'm into it. I mean, Josh Allen falls like crazy in drafts too.
Ben
People
Sainty's got
seem
the 5th there.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, it seems like Dalton Kincaid's really the only guy that people are super interested in. I mean, does anyone have a stomach for the James Cook shit with the new staff in place?
Like, there's no way that the new OC comes in and is like first on my agenda is like James Cook carries like going up. Like, really? Like, there's just like what is a new OC going to do with Josh? I mean, like, I know I'm not alone here, right? But like, what was the point of firing the offensive coordinator? Like, I'm not. Maybe I missed some good takes, but like, I don't.
Well, who was the one that banished James Cook to the shadow realm for that fumble, despite him like ripping off 10 yards per carry every time he touched the ball in that game?
Yeah, if that was the guy that got thrown out, then maybe we are cooking with James Cook. But that feels kind of tough for me to get to. I will say I have been a proponent in the past on Underdog, especially in taking James Cook in heavily favored matchups when the Bills are heavily favored. So something to maybe consider, but it's just like there's just a lot of murkiness going on that it doesn't feel like as sexy as it has been in the past for me.
I'll say this just to make it actionable. I think James Cook's too thin for Battle Royale. I think he's an awesome dog bowl pick. According to Bobby Stats, this thing he's going in less than 30% there. So you're actually getting, and if you look at like how he projects relative to those running backs who are all going in the 6th round, it's a pretty good gap that you're getting in exposure there for him.
Okay, good stuff.
Yeah. And he also works out nicely as a leverage skinny stack too, because he catches passes. If you want to do the JA, and then you can encapsulate all ground rushing outside of the odd Latavius Murray at the goal line stuff that's so tilting. But yeah. Pete, I gotta ask you, hidden gems, Jaguars stuff. We're looking at what we believe is a Texans pass funnel here. Have you been stacking Jags a bunch in your dog bowl stuff? What's your thoughts there?
So I did I wrote up Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk. I didn't have the stomach to go the full stack route with Trevor Lawrence, just because like this offense has been just so uninspired. It lacks creativity. They are like the poor man's version of the Niners, where it's like one guy can go off, but the offense just isn't functional enough for everyone to get theirs or multiple pieces. I will have some Trevor Lawrence doubles in dog bowl. I don't think I'll have that many in battle royale, but I love Kirk and Ingram as one-offs. Kirk getting less, like Christian Kirk coming off of 100-yard game, clearly establishing himself as the number one in that offense, and now gets an arguably even better matchup versus this Tennessee defense. And he's still getting drafted in less than 15% of contests in like a really nice bounce back spot for the Jags here. That seems crazy to me. And like Evan Ingram's role, I know it's frustrating, shallow ADOT, but his target share is 2nd on the year among all tight ends. And so if everyone just feels burned by this, like to get both of these guys sub 15% in battle royale feels very nice to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ingram's variant, as high variance as it is. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree on the tight end one. It's interesting because it's direct leverage off ETN, who goes every single draft too. And then all we need is some positive touchdown regression to go the pass catcher's way opposed to the running back's way, because like Trevor Lawrence, they've been in positions to have touchdowns scored. We've talked about drops in end zones and weak pass and stuff like that, where he hasn't thrown for more than 2 touchdowns in a game since week 1. Well, like touchdowns are the most highly variant act in football, right? So now all of a sudden, guys come down with 1 or 2 of those, and that's all you need, right?
Yep. Yeah. And again, that's why I'm like more just kind of want to pick my spots. I like Ingram and Kirk kind of as, one-offs. I do think they're kind of a fun mini correlation with DeAndre Hopkins, who also isn't getting drafted a ton. We've seen him be able to rip off big stuff. I am a little like Hilo has me spooked. I know Jags are one of the biggest mismatches in Brandon Thorne's defensive line, O-line there with the Titans. So you could see this be a gross game, but it does, like, if you look at this spread, Jacksonville at home, and Tennessee has been much better against the run. And the Jags running game, everything about them is dysfunctional right now, but their running game is not looking too hot. I do think the path of least resistance for them is through the air. A lot of the stuff to Kirk and Ingram being big beneficiaries there. So would not shock me to see one of those guys have a really nice week.
Can I bring up a game?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can we just like copy and paste results and attribute them to the Commanders for the Giants and what the Cowboys just did to the Giants?
Maybe maybe the way in which Sam Howell's been throwing.
That's why you like squint and see the way that these teams, like the Commanders, throw the ball a ton. Like how is Terry McLaurin just not last week's CD Lamb is what I'm getting at, and how is Brian Robinson not the Tony Pollard that was promised? How? I can't see it. I can't see how
Brian Robinson is an easy sell, especially with this is the bummer thing is Brian Robinson was going to be such a fun, good selection. And now Antonio Gibson being doubtful, he's going to get crazy steamed up. He's still an awesome pick, but it's just like, it's not going to be sneaky anymore.
The thing is, it's okay on, it's bad on redacted that he gets steam. It's kind of fine here because 38 to 45% of the contest is already filled, where he's probably less than 5% owned. So even if he gets steamed from here, the highest he could probably get would be in the neighborhood of like 12.
That is a good point. Battle Royale, I just checked, 47% filled right now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you can't, unless you get a swap somewhere, but I don't know any good running backs that are swap eligible right now. Like, that's a good point. Like, those lineups are locked. You can't change that.
Yeah, there's no Q tags right now either, really. Like the Mostert one converted, he's going to play, and there was one other one that I was.
It's like Pat Freiermuth.
No, Noah Brown. Noah Brown's the one that'll swap, and it'll only be flex eligible. But Noah Brown wasn't going in 100% of drafts, but he was probably going in 100% of dog bowls, but not in BRs there. Run Good Rick's asking because Pete is on the clock, man. He is on the clock all the time. That's why he's in.
Well, I went to check the fill rate on it, and
no,
might as well just
little slip of the finger.
Well, I just Nez looked like he was winding up for like a 7-minute Sam Howell, Terry McLaurin soliloquy. So I was like, I'll just.
While I wax poetically, and you can just go ahead and draft. I can keep going.
The one thing about that game just in general is it's so hard to pinpoint where the volume's going to go outside of Brian Robinson. Like, no Antonio Gibson this week, leading to Brian Robinson getting more of the pass volume work. Like, after we saw him have a 100-yard game last week, that feels really good. The rest of it, I'm like, on a given week, I have no idea where Sam Howell's going with the ball. I know he's going to throw it 35 plus times, and I know he's probably going to try and get to 300 yards, but I have no idea where it's going.
But shouldn't that, because you can play it both ways, right? You can say you lean into that uncertainty and, you mix and match, because when you do hit on it, it's just going to be so low owned. Or do you say, no, this is actually like a bug of this offense where it's so spread out that no one is going to get enough work to be in the optimal lineup as a pass catcher, basically.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, through that lens, if I had to pick the guy that I thought would be optimal, I think it'd go Brian Robertson, then Terry. But then, sorry, hold on.
Like
Yeah, I agree with that.
Logan Thomas has been like solid, but I mean, you're just praying for a touchdown like you are with so many tight ends. Dotson has been complete dust with Curtis Samuel in the lineup most weeks. And so
Mhm.
it does actually kind of thin out when you really think from like a raw points perspective. Who are these guys? Like I do agree with you. It feels like Hal Robinson and McLaurin.
Yeah. Actually, this is a good question from Blake that I'd like to ask you guys. Is HN a trap this week?
I don't think so.
I don't. I really don't think so either.
Yeah.
Like, are people people thinking that, or are we just like, is it just like he just there too often? Because like it is kind of annoying to, have Achan just stare you in the face, like, look at me. Don't you want 20 points? Who doesn't want 20 points from me? Like it's just there every time. I can see getting fatigue from Achan, but you shouldn't feel. I mean, come on, man.
Well, to me, I think too, like if you the projection systems are having a little bit of a tough time with him, right? Because they all know he's due for crazy regression. Mostert's obviously going to have a role, but I mean, this is still the exact kind of play. I haven't been having to force myself to to click him a little bit more just because he's like buried maybe lower than where I think he should be. Like I should probably just manually adjust my ranks and push him up because again, going back to that raw points thing, and how many few like true ceiling guys there are. Like if you've done a dog bowl draft and you're at pick 12 and you're like, fuck, well, they're all gone.
Yes,
you
right.
know, like,
Seriously.
like Achan, no one needs me to tell them that Achan can drop 30 in this spot. And like, you just have to have exposure to those guys.
What about the pivot to getting overexposed to Mostert?
I don't mind that.
Nez?
Yeah. No, I mean, I've had thoughts about that, right? Like
Yeah.
that seems like pretty smart. Like Mostert, I haven't even really seen him go that much well, I know he goes in dog bowls, but like I'm not the one taking him. I'm usually getting my running backs before that. I think that's smart, but man, I do like HN more than Mostert. Like for me, I'm just like trying not to overthink this one. The 13.5 point favorites. HN's finally back. Like the dude just did nothing but ball out. Like this just seems like a really tough spot for him to not pay off.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Raiders have been pretty good against receivers, limiting big plays. Like I'm never going to say fade Tyreek, but I do think they will have no problem establishing it. I was listening to Crane too and saying like the Dolphins have been sneaky, like a little conservative with their play calling in that game against the Chiefs. They were really trying to run the ball a ton. Would not surprise me to see them just lean on the run game here. In a way, both of them can get theirs, but if there's still one guy here who can just take multiple, touches to the house and completely break the slate, it's Achan.
Does it make sense that I like him more in onslaughty stuff or like stuff where I have another Miami player? Like I don't love playing that game through just him. Is that a flawed idea in my process?
I think you might be like really tethered to that Broncos game a little bit. Like I would be totally fine doing just Achan.
Right.
Because I do think that there is something to the Vegas team with having the new coach there and the way that the defense has been looking better. That I don't know that they're going to get boat raced, but the spread is the spread. 13.5. I mean, that's just all historical data just tells you that running backs are in good spots when the spread is that high, and I think it's more so just like the offense not for Las Vegas not being able to compete with what like the ceiling is for Miami and how efficient they are. I'm kind of a boring answer, but I think I'm more worried about Waddle. Like Waddle's ADP to me just feels like a really, really tough sell.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. Like comparatively, I'd way rather be overexposed to HN than Waddle this week. But I don't know. Like for me, it's like this large spread. They're up a lot. Like the running back that they turn to kill the clock to run the rest of it. Just isn't it Mostert, or am I wrong? Has that role completely flipped?
No, cost adjusted to me. Like my favorite plays would go Achan, Tyreek, Mostert, Waddle.
Agreed.
Okay.
And you can make, I hesitated because I think you can make a case to flip Mostert and Tyreek when you say cost adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I might prefer Amon-Ra this week to Tyreek, which I know is crazy,
Ooh.
but I might be there.
That's spicy. Why? Just because of the spot, the volume, he's been so effing consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this spot. The Bears have been pretty good against the run too. I just think this just sets up for the Goff Laporta ARSB game. It's obviously scary saying that stuff about Tyreek, who can just fucking take any play. But if that spread holds true, I just think they're going to have a field day on the ground, and Tyreek could give you 20 here and not be able to compete with some of those other guys that gets pushed up over 25.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can't argue that.
I do like St. Brown a lot.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a big part in them getting to the red zone, because we like to run a lot in the red zone. I think as far as getting there, it's going to be a lot of Amon-Ra.
Let's I think we should hop in something, but I'd like to ask you guys your favorite, cost adjusted or scrolls and or overexposed guys thus far this week. Pete, I think you're kind of suggesting the Lions stuff is where you're headed right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's more just like those aren't the the hidden gems, so to speak. I would say I'm really starting to warm up to Green Bay. Have a lot of Aaron Jones. I'm starting to dabble with some of the gross Jordan Love vomit stacks. I think this is like it sets up nicely, right? Because the Chargers are so fucking condensed. Like, I don't want to click anything other than Keenan or Eckler. I don't really want to play Herbert on the road at Lambeau. And the Chargers have been getting torched for big plays. Their secondary sucks. And there's some fun big play receivers on the Packers. I think Musgrave's in play. This is obviously a little bit more dog bowl relevant, but Aaron Jones, I think, is in Battle Royale one of the best clicks you can do right now. And I love mixing and matching, Aaron Jones with the pass game a bit too, or as a one-off or whatever. But yeah, I would say this spot for the Packers, I'm really warming up to.
Me too. And I kind of hate that I am, but like, I just think I can't help but just think about all the times I've seen Jordan Love miss on deep balls. And I'm like, well, I know he likes to throw it deep, but like hasn't connected yet. And he has like, I think I'm an apologist for like every bad quarterback in the league, but I am a Jordan Love. I am a Jordan Love apologist, man. I think Jordan Love is like not that bad. I kind of like the way that he plays. He plays aggressive, and he's finding other guys in the end zone. Maybe this could finally be the Christian Watson week that was promised. But I'm with you on this stack. I think that this is a very interesting team to get to, and Aaron Jones is for sure underpriced. John, what do you think about the Packers before I tell you who I'm over the field on?
I like Aaron Jones a lot in the 6 persons. I haven't been doing a ton of 12s this week. I've been really concentrating on our own 3-person and the 6-person ones. I would like Aaron Jones as like a late leverage. He's picking up a little bit of steam right now, but I'm going to have to incorporate some of the Jordan Love skinnies as well. But I will say the Jordan Love matchup this week from a quarterback, from fantasy points adjusted standpoint, he is the number 1 quarterback versus opposing defense matchup on the slate. So just to be in lockstep with where Pete was going there, that's just something that I noted to go alongside with it, but haven't been doing myself. So I think, I don't know if Christian Watson doesn't get it this week, is it just over for Christian Watson?
Yeah, I mean, he's also not been healthy a bunch this year. The thing is too, like what to Nez's point about Jordan Love, and I think I'm kind of secretly an apologist for Jordan Love too. Like, he can be bad and still play a fantasy friendly like game, right? Like, they do push the ball downfield, and he has I've been impressed with Jaden Reed. Like, Romeo Dobbs is fine, but like make sure-handed catches. They use Luke Musgrave down the field. This isn't the Evan Ingram role, 2 yards at the line of scrimmage. Like, when it does hit, it hits in a fantasy friendly way.
Yeah, and he can run. It's an underrated portion of his game that he can move a bit.
And just thinking about spots too, and how disappointing this Chargers team at on the road Going to be cold there at Lambeau. This just feels like a bad spot for the Chargers. And that's not to say Eckler and Keenan won't get theirs. They get theirs every week. And that's kind of the beauty of it. But I just feel like the Packers can put up some points here.
I like it. Nez, where you been going?
Brian Robinson, for sure.
Yeah,
I really, really like his price in these. I'm at 50% Brian Robinson. Ooh. And the other 50%, not that it's always 1-to-1, but finding himself on half of my teams, is the running back for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, no.
Which name are you going to say?
The lead back? The lead back?
It's the change of pace guy by the name of Tony Pollard. This is it. This is it, guys. And this is it. I mean, I'm going back next week, too, because he plays the Commanders next week. But you're not going to get him at this price if he scores a touchdown this week, man. Do you know? Have you seen his pick'ems?
You've been saying it for 8 weeks.
Have you seen his pick'ems? Have you seen his
pick'ems?
90 and a half.
I had this epiphany in the shower earlier, and I said, this is what I said to myself. I said, Tony Pollard is going to have 65 yards rushing and a touchdown, and we're going to have learned nothing. Like, we're just going to move on. Everyone's going to be like, yes, Tony Pollard scored. And then we're going to look at the scores and the raw points at the end, and he's going to have 14 points.
13 points. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay, congratulations. That's what's going to happen.
Probably, right?
I like that.
It's the Joe Mixon getting home. Joe Mixon scored and he's got 12 points. Yeah.
91 yards, no tutties. Put the shirts. This is it, Tony Pollard.
But this is seriously the worst run defense in football.
But Nez,
yeah.
That's why I agree. He can hit his median. But is there a Tony Pollard ceiling if he hasn't exhibited explosive playmaking, if he hasn't exhibited any pass game usage? You have to get 2 touchdowns here for him to access his ceiling.
For sure. And if if they're in the red zone at the goal line, maybe he doesn't score, but god damn it, they're gonna try. He's gonna get attempts.
How about this, Nez? You stop drafting Tony Pollard. We asked Neumy to give us quadruple spice on Tony Pollard scoring 2 touchdowns, and we all just move on with our life.
Quad spice.
Tony Pollard is our new Kyle Pitts around here.
I don't think I'm doing it, guys. I barely clicked him this week. Are you doing it, John?
I have clicked it to the clip of 8%. So he's there, but he's not. He's not.
You're
there.
At 50. You're at 50, Nez.
For 52.9, actually.
52. Well, here, Ghost AF reminding everyone that it was the Joe Mixon explosion spot last year was versus Carolina. So if we're playing this thesis of Tony Pollard all year long being Joe Mixon Jr., Joe Mixon light, what we've been saying, he's just this year's Joe Mixon. The 5 touchdown game comes this week if the thesis holds true, Nez.
I can't believe this is where we are. Tony Pollard is in the best spot of the season.
I do like the touchdown stuff, but my whole thing is I just don't think Tony Pollard has a ceiling. I just don't think he has a 25-point ceiling.
I know.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like you do.
Well, I mean, isn't that like Joe Mixon too? The showdown slate last night and stuff like that. It's if I want a running back that I can bet my life on to give me 10, but won't give me more than 20, I'm just going to pick Joe Mixon every single time. I don't know. Yeah. For me, I've been scrolling this week. Shocking. But I have a lot of Devin Singletary. I just thought he was mispriced. Then I was doing it before the projection stuff came out, and then confirmed my priors. So I just kept clicking. I was doing the Nico Collins stuff early too because of the Noah Brown injury, and then the leverage it represents off Tank Dell. Although I've seen a lot of stuff this week that in terms of first reads and targets per route run and stuff, that Tank Dell is actually performing better than Nico. Which kind of surprised me because I had it the opposite in my mind, that when he was out there, he would just be the guy, especially in the red zone. But those have been 2 of my clicks. I've been really trying to get on that Houston, Arizona, as I alluded to earlier. And then Brees Hall. Brees Hall has been a heavy click for me as well.
Yeah, I think it is interesting too. Like for as good as Houston has been, Dalton Schultz isn't getting taken in 100% of drafts either.
And with no Noah Brown either. I mean, I know that like Noah Brown has been catching, like it seems like he catches every goddamn deep ball, but I mean that's one less pass catcher to compete with Dalton Schultz. That's really interesting.
And do you guys find more so in like the 12 person, but I found Tank Dell's ADP a little rich and I like that game, but I do think with like the Nico coming back and stuff,
I would take Ayuk over him. Ayuk's
that's where I've been.
behind.
And I've been taking Puka over him too.
I don't have any.
Oh yeah, Puka. Yeah, that makes sense. I can't fault you for that. The Puka spot, we didn't even talk about that game, and on Monday we kind of previewed how we would love that game. Are we getting to that Seattle and the Rams stuff, guys?
I've been getting to the Rams pass catchers. I haven't got. I guess I have been doing. I did one where I had like a Cooper Kupp or Puka team, and then both Metcalf and Lockett were available in the last round. I'm like, let me just pile in on this game, but I'm pretty spooked on the Seahawks, man. I've been trying to pick my spots with them, and this doesn't seem like a spot for them.
Yeah, like we were all over it last week when the Commanders game, and we talked about how that was like a sneaky good one, and you guys built the pick'em around it and that sort of stuff. And it's just kind of like, even when Geno quote unquote smashed and got home with 360 and 2 scores and whatever, it's so spread that it just kind of feels hard to pinpoint skinny stacks with Geno.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like if I'm playing Seattle stuff, similar to what we talked about with last week with the Commanders, like, well, I guess it is actually different. Sorry, but I want to run back, right? Like this is a game where like I do want to run back. We talked about Lions and Bears, not necessarily needing one there. I think you need one here because we know Pete wants to establish it if they're not pushed. And there is potential. Like that was my initial inkling was like, man, the Rams can actually make this a high scoring affair. I thought the total was going to be like 3 points higher than what it was. But I think it just comes down to the range of outcomes of like, hey, if the Rams actually don't have success offensively, which would be weird because this Seattle team is so tough against the ground, probably underrated against the pass, but that is where they're vulnerable. And that's all the Rams can do right now. I mean, I really do see this game like eclipsing 50, but based on everybody else's sentiment on it, and like how projections like aren't really like uber excited about this, it does have me like cooling off. But I want to get back to that like before Sunday and draft more of that game because I do see like I do think it will take though the Rams like starting the fire though for this game to get to where I want it to go.
Can I give you a gross play in this game?
Absolutely.
So you got 46.5 point total. You got the Rams fully healthy. This guy's not even getting really drafted in the dog bowls, and I've taken him a few times now, and I'm probably going to keep clicking him. It's Darrell Henderson.
Okay.
He's splitting the rushing attempts with Freeman, but is getting almost all of the targets in the passing game here. I do think he's just looked to me better than Freeman. I do think he's going to get the goal line opportunities as well. So I don't know. He's just someone I'm interested in because I'm a little down on Seattle in this spot. And if you aren't playing it as a shootout and you're playing it like Rams with a lead, I do think Henderson can be a part of that. And so I've been like willing to do like Kupp with last pick Henderson, Nakua last pick Henderson, because I still don't have the stomach for Stafford either, but as being like, how can I capture the Rams points in this game?
Yeah, the staff one I fully agree with because like, even though it's so condensed, like where's the ceiling? You know, it's 250 and 3 is the ceiling, and you're not going to win. I mean, maybe it's good enough for a dog bowl, but you're not going to win any of the other contests with that. Hendo's a pretty nice scroll the F down shout there because if they get down to the goal line and everybody's playing Puka and Kupp and you just assemble that yardage and you get 2 punch-ins, like that could definitely be the guy you need in a dog bowl.
Yeah. And it's not one you feel good about. It's again, just looking at the other running backs who are going, and it's like, okay, if Rachaad White, who I like, but if he's going in 100% of drafts and Darrell Henderson is going in 0, and you are just trying to sun run a couple touchdowns, like John said, the leverage is pretty good.
Yeah, I like that. I'm definitely going to start mixing that one in because if you look down in this range, like comparable, like just backfield share, maybe Ford, but the spot is awful, especially with a backup quarterback, and the game total's super low. Like, maybe you can put on your rose-colored glasses and tell me Najee and or Jalen Warren is the first running back to eclipse 70 yards versus the Browns this season. But I mean, Henderson kind of sticks out like a sore thumb through here, does he not?
I have a lot of respect for
Yeah.
Seattle's run defense. So for me, that's like I can't.
They've been sixth worst, or giving up the sixth most fantasy points to running backs on the year. Only Broncos, Panthers, Cardinals, Chargers, Colts have given up more points to running backs.
Where am I getting my ideas from? This, where is this? Where is this coming from? I think it's just like a take that I'm just like pot committed to. I guess
You're just locked in on.
Yeah.
Where do you guys want to start first?
I'm good. What do you want to do? Dealer's choice. We got to do one brawl as well. I mean, for sure.
Oh,
that's true. That's true. 4 more. Those things are lightning quick too. They're fun.
Yeah, they're fast.
A really good excuse to scroll if you're playing low entries. Like if you're a player on the platform who only wants to play $25 worth of action this week, just go ahead and play the BadgeBros one. You're getting it rake free, and you're not sacrificing a ton by scrolling or chasing, the super combinations because everyone's privy to them, right?
It's so I tried to highlight it on my portfolio review show on Monday. Like I did positive ROI in the goal line stand with it being rake free, and my lineups weren't even that good. Like I had a rough week last week with some of my stands. Like I was off of a lot of stuff, and I still had a profitable week because the rake free element, it just like, it can't be, overstated how much that helps your bottom line and the moat it gives you for being wrong and still being profitable. You got to take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
It's the best thing going.
Pete's got the influencer 101. This is where we slide down a tier, Nez. Pete jumps in the draft with us. He gets the 101.
Get a little shoulder bump. Excuse me, fellas. Let me show you how it's done.
I've been taking Tyreek. Pete's trying to sell us this pen on Amon-Ra St. Brown and flipping the board here. Which would you like to do, Nez?
I don't know how much you're actually flipping the board taking Amon-Ra.
I think it's Tyreek, but like, man, if we're flipping a coin, it's between Tyreek and Eckler for me at the 2.
Eckler, okay, interesting.
Yeah, with the way that the Chargers are just absolutely depleted, and Eckler's role is just like fantasy gold, like forever. He definitely feels like, if there's a possible condom pick at 2, I mean, it's Austin Eckler.
And Packers have been much worse against the run than they have there. What do you guys have any worry about the Keenan Allen stuff, or is he fully off?
He's fully off the practice report.
He's fully off
practice yesterday and said he was going to play. The one that I was scared about early in the week was Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson was like fully off. And then, when I wanted to get back to the Seattle, when you took it the Hendo route, is like Tyler Lockett's been dealing with this hamstring for like 3 or 4 weeks now. And this is the first week where he's not LP and he's DNP. So, I mean, if you want a little leverage off of the fact that Ken Walker goes in almost all these drafts, but DK Metcalf goes undrafted a good portion of the time, I mean, just start mixing him in the 6th round here. Nez, where do your eyes go, dude? This is where I personally start scrolling.
Yeah. This is where I kind of run away from this tier. I think Laporta is like really interesting. That's like one of the highest team totals on the slate. Like I said, I think it's pass until they get into the red zone, and then maybe there's some play action there for Laporta. Really I've been looking forward to this game since July.
Our weekly winners lineups would suggest the same thing.
Yeah, I can't. This is like the whole and I have some Justin Field teams that are still live. Shout out to the bbmdb.com. So like, I need this bad.
You want to hear something pretty ironic? I was out here pumping the tires on the Taysom Hill stuff all year long. Oh yes. Was I the guy? Okay, well, let's make the pick first here. We could do the Gibbs mini correlation with the Detroit stuff. Just bet on the game environment. I kind of like to scroll though. Do you want to take your boy here?
As in DJ Moore? Who's my boy? Tony
No.
P. Tony Redacted.
Come on, Nez. For the bid
Yeah, you gotta
equity,
do it.
for your exposure, for everything, we got to take him in the third round.
Well, it'll
here.
be easy to know if this wins and if this is a team that we drafted or not, since you only have 8%. So just know that you will be getting a very formal invoice into your inbox if this team cracks $100 or more. Even if it cracks 100, I need something for mine.
It's funny because we've done a year and a half worth of shows of drafts in which I've paid for and never won shit on. So I'll send that invoice back.
We did win a hoops one. We did win a hoops one. You can bill me for that.
$200.
Take it out of my hoops winnings.
That would be that. I do want to just get a sprinkling of Tony Pollard just because the bid equity of me winning with Tony Pollard at like 1% while Nez loses at 50% would be very good.
It would be.
Yeah.
I just read pure as hell with my one. I went to real quick. I just want to tell go ahead, John. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's kind of like your hoops exposure the other night, where you were like, "Oh, I'm dead in the water" when Embiid was playing, and blah blah blah, and then you ended up coming 2 top 10s.
I ran so hot. I had like 0 of the top 2 picks that night, Pete, and then just ran pure as hell. They both dudded. So sometimes just gotta better to be lucky than good sometimes.
Absolutely. Every time.
Yeah. Matter of fact, all the time. I was going to tell a funny story today. Bria did a career day at the school that her mom works at. And we were there and there was and all these little kids know who Bria is because her mom talks about her a lot. And there's this one kid that was coming up and he was talking to us. And I had the most boomer moment ever. And whenever you were a kid and you're playing an Xbox or something that is a gaming system and an older person's like, oh, you're playing your Nintendo. It's a Game Boy, it has a name. This kid was head to toe dripped down in Minecraft gear. And I was like, dude, I love the Fortnite stuff. And I just immediately was like, oh no, it's not Fortnite. That's the Minecraft zombie, right there. I'm like, I am literally everything that I was annoyed by as a kid. It was it was a great boomer moment. So in boomer fashion, do we do 2 running backs here or what?
Yeah, so we could do Josh Jacobs and then take Tua with the Reek stack, or we can scroll down to your boy Brian Robinson, and then
let's go Brian Robinson.
Okay, well, let's do the quarterback first.
Why you think you're worried about Pete?
Yeah, I think Pete might go naked Fields. He's not going to take Brian Robinson.
No, I'm going to grab my Stroud Schultz thing here.
Okay. So I mean, Brian Robinson will probably make it back to us. Well, actually, it looks like only how many people can take a wide receiver? Chrysler can't, False can't, Raiders can't.
Miller's the only person who can take a wide receiver.
Okay. Yeah, maybe
also the only one.
Maybe do Robinson then. I think it's it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other.
I have no idea what that means, but I agree with you.
You've never heard that phrase?
Well, I've heard Canada, man.
They say things like a woodchuck can throw a hoop through a ball. That's
that's exactly what we say.
Throw a ball. If a woodchuck could throw a ball.
You know what they say.
Oh my god! Except for shoot a puck. Man. Okay, the Taysom one. Let's go back to the Taysom one. The irony in the Taysom one was he's had 3 amazing weeks out of the last 4. I had my highest weekly winners cash this week.
Really?
With the week where Taysom done it.
Wow. That is funny, man.
What place was the team in?
Honestly, I don't even know. It just appeared in my account. And then I was like, where'd this come from? And just looked at it. It wasn't good. It was like $50 or something. It wasn't anything.
So we got the official practice report for the Texans. Dameon Pierce out. Nico going to play. Noah Brown did not practice at all this week, but is listed as questionable.
Is he? I thought he was out.
Well, sorry. What was the running back? The Pierce one?
Pierce is out. Yeah.
Oh, so he's officially out. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't their coach say that Noah Brown isn't going to play?
I'm just reading Field Yates report. If you want to be smirch, Field Yates reporting, Nez, go full screen.
Field Yates,
take it out on it.
You are fake news. No, I go by my tried and true Underdog
I
NFL newsfeed.
you guys tried to come over the top of Field Yates on Noah Brown's side. I personally am going to side with Field Yates on this one.
Many have called Nez just the more handsome version of Field Yates. Actually,
That's
so,
just objectively false.
Yeah, it's true. That guy's pretty handsome.
This is a beautiful way to round out this game, right? I mean,
yeah, it feels like the right move. It feels kind of chalky to have like the Laporta Fields and DJ Moore combo, but if it's the combo you need, it's the combo you need. And then the fact that we scrolled the F down for both running backs to go with it makes it feel a bit better, I guess.
and look at these running backs that are going to go undrafted. I mean, Pete, you'll have to let us know who you're
I took
running
Jones.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
You took Aaron Jones. Okay.
Ken Walker, David Montgomery, Debo. There is a plethora of names here that like I would take in like the 3rd round that are undrafted here. This is a nice week, but I mean,
yeah, you get Dak undrafted, who's QB2. I don't know. It just really speaks to how the power of the flex is going to be very spread, and then the condense at tight end for sure. Like,
yeah,
very nice, fun one.
And I mean, you do feel like we were talking about like the scrolling and where the gaps are. I mean, yeah, there's always, wide receivers that you can correlate late, but like the real ceiling stuff, I mean, it's thin this week. And you can see too, like, I mean, only one wide receiver went in the last 2 rounds of this draft we just did. I think it's hard to find wide receiver ceiling this week.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think for me, it's like, give me one of the Niners. If I need a wide receiver 2 and like, and everybody else is gone, like, and Debo's there for me waiting for a wide receiver 2, and I'm not like finishing out a stack, give me any 49er against the Buccaneers. That to me just feels like a blow up spot for those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a little bit like, every week, like Purdy like pops, right? You know, from a value perspective. And yet he's almost, and maybe it's unfair to say he's kind of like Matthew Stafford light, in that like the actual ceiling, I just do not think is there. So I've been playing it way more like Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, like I just did in this one, like take 2 of those guys and then try to access more ceiling at quarterback, because there's legit ceiling options at quarterback that can separate. I think in the dog bowls too, like tacking on Purdy last pick or whatever, I've seen him go there is completely fine. But in Battle Royale, I've been having a really hard time with Purdy.
Yeah, I guess like I just don't think that on this slate, like my retort would just be like, I mean, we just saw the QB2 go undrafted. So like, is there ceiling? Like nobody really knows what to do.
I'll take Dak, Goff, Kyler. I'll take all 3 of those guys as ceiling over Purdy.
Who do you guys want to click here? Take some wide receiver ceiling and then backfill with the running back value.
What are we
stuff?
in the brawl?
Yeah. This is 3-person. You can literally just like, we can pick whoever the hell we want.
Yeah, it's
fun. Talk through, because I only hopped in a couple of these so far, but talk to me through kind of like the general kind of strategy differences versus Battle Royale for this.
Well, we're only drafting 18 players. So, I mean, most people's player pools are going to be extremely condensed. I think one of the most plus EV ways to play this is to scroll down, and you don't even have to scroll that far. I mean, we saw early on, I think Crash Rich has already maxed this because he was in like every single lobby, like from the jump. And he like started things off immediately with like a Justin Fields stack. And then he did like a Kyler Murray stack. Like there's not going to be many Kyler Murray stacks in this contest.
Yep.
So you can.
You guys
HM?
Okay.
Sure.
Because so to your point, like, so 18 players are going. And if I look at the plays, like I do really think there's like a big tier gap after like 10 or 11 players, as far as like those guys can give you the elite ceiling. And then you can start to make a case for a lot of other guys. Mm-hmm. So just scrolling down.
Do you guys want to take one of these last 2 elite wide receivers and then skinny stack the quarterback and tight end?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm cool
Which
with
do you guys prefer?
Diggs or Allen?
Let's go at. I'm good with it.
Yeah, that's fun.
And then scroll down for the stack.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
like a Fields Komet
That's fun.
or the Shrout Schultz you just did, or Dak Ferguson, but it becomes a triple stack, which is fine,
Yeah.
but a little thinner.
I mean, did Kittle go? Did we say Kittle Purdy? I know
No,
all
we
we
didn't
just
say
did was
Kittle
talk
Purdy.
about how like Purdy's ceiling and whatnot, but like Purdy won't get taken here. And if he gives you 23 and
How
nobody else
often is
separates,
Goff? How often is Goff getting drafted? I guess that would be a double too. Yeah.
Probably
So
less than
dude,
Fields.
I
Double's
love that.
fine.
The Fields Komet is fun.
I agree.
All right, let's do it. I think Fields has scored more than 28 fantasy points in 4 of his starts or something like that.
Just this season.
I don't know. Maybe that's wrong.
Two.
Don't quote me on that.
In his last
2?
two before he got hurt against the Vikings, yeah.
Yeah.
Against
Yeah, maybe that's the
soft
stat I saw.
matchups, but
What's the is there a max? How many lineups can you do in this one?
150.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crashers
Wow.
was in every single one.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean that dude's hustle is just like unmatched.
You know what might be another good one in this one that nobody's getting to yet is Love plus Musgrave. So I do think there's a lot of power and a lot of merit into like these first 4 positions being like premium. If you can get like the premium top ones, or maybe like one scroll down running back, and then the skinny stack, just trying to hunt 2 touchdowns from your tight end in tandem with your quarterback makes a lot of sense to me. Very
I think
showdown slate-esque, but like on a main slate.
Yeah. I agree with that. And it's funny, you said people aren't getting to Jordan Love and Musgrave in this. They're not even getting into it in the dog bowl, buddy. Like,
like you want to be the only one with that connection. Like you got it. It's all you.
But I think that's super sharp for that contest too. Of like, it's a pretty weak tight end. I mean, I know we're excited about McBride Laporta, but it is weaker than normal. And you're just hunting touchdowns, and you can get the guys who are going to be drafted in less than 20% of this. I really like that angle.
I love how we just went Fields Komet, and then Tyler Komets in the chat is telling us to go Murray McBride.
Every time I see
right
Tyler in the chat, he always it always brings me right to like the Bears, and like I end up thinking about my bags, of which there are many, and they're heavy.
Ooh, influencer.
You got me this time.
Move aside, Pete. This is the BadgeBros channel, bud.
Got lucky with the lobby here, huh?
I wasted it on the $5 draft, not the $25.
Oh, man.
I think I'm just going to take highest ADP here, get my 25 back, and move on.
Push the plane, man. Let's just do a pick'em instead. This is no one's winning here.
EN3 in here who is 1-2 seats. We got Copper Prices who's 1-2 seats. And then we got all the friends and family in between. Crash Richie's got a seat. Oh, man. Matt, who's been so damn close.
Yeah, man.
Jeez.
Matt is talking about shots on goal, man. His XG, he should have 2 seats. Like
literally, man. Yeah. His expected seats gained.
Yeah.
That's our big.
Yeah, hopefully we're gonna see him. We're gonna see him regardless. I know it.
The Skolansky Bucks of Miami seats. I've been clicking Christian McCaffrey. I saw in the chat there our guy Clay saying he's not the guy this week. I still think he's the guy. Where have you guys been at?
Oh yeah, easy 101.
Yeah. It's just he gets a touchdown, and they tried their damnedest to get him that touchdown, and there's 24, and there's no debate here.
If they're in like a grosser game, everything's going to funnel through them. If they're in a game where they're rolling, he's going to be the lead guy that everything's rolling. It's just you can't go wrong.
I tend to agree.
Should I get off of my Amon-Ra bullshit and take Eckler? Or should I just keep ripping it in on Amon-Ra? Let's rip it in on Amon-Ra.
Yeah, no, I think in dog bowls, like I love Eckler this week, and that's not
Yeah.
obviously a hot take. But with the dog bowls and the running backs being so deep this week, like you can like you don't really want to pass up on Amon-Ra when the wide receivers that you're getting at pick 21 are going to suck.
That is like a very good point. And especially in a room like this one too, like the wide receiver is going to get gross fast.
Well, therein lies a bull case for taking Reek 101 too.
Right, just positional.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it wasn't a CMC slate for sure.
I think you know how we've basically seen in these contests tight end being as low as the 0.6 from Kittle week winning. I feel like this is a week where tight end's going to matter. That's just my hunch based on the way the ADP is unfolding, the way the positions are and stuff. I think tight end's going to matter this week for what it's worth.
Yeah. One dynamic I've been struggling with in these dog bowls is I really like Laporta. I have been taking a lot of those top tight ends here.
Mm-hmm.
And yet some of the best values are some of the tight ends in like rounds 4 and 5 too. And so every time I click that and then I'm back up on the clock again, I'm like, I wish I had my tight end slot, you know, here. And that's the one thing that's been kind of tough for me to navigate.
Yeah, it could be one of those weeks where like multiple tight ends give you 20, which was like kind of really strange. It's like they didn't matter, but they did, you know. So it's always just kind of that is like the captain position that well, hello, Big Poppy.
Hello, Trey. Love it, Big Poppy taking a stand. I read the first 5 words of Clay's comment here, and I'm willing.
He might need to go in timeout.
I'm putting him in timeout after this. This is crazy. CMC is fancy Tony Pollard, and then I stopped reading. I was just fancy. Oh my! Come on, man.
He's hitting the Peloton hard right now. He's got so many endorphins in his head. He's just flowing.
He's buzzing so hard on the Peloton.
Oh my god, that's great.
EDN3 setting up a little bit of San Fran double there. San Fran, man, it's like all those guys popped last week, and you still couldn't sniff a seat because Dak exploded. You know, I'm so afraid of that same thing happening again. Not to be results oriented, but just like you see Ayuk go for 14, you go CMC, you know, he does his thing, but it was like 14, 16, something in that range. Kittle goes for 19. Debo scores the touchdown and goes for like 18 or something. And then it's just like Purdy, tethered to it all, only gets 23 despite having like 290 and 3 scores or whatever. And then Dak breaks the slate and none of them matter because all you needed was one off Kittle.
Yeah.
Strange, man. Game play.
What do you guys think? I assume for EDN, I mean, he's doing a ton of these drafts. I assume it's like an exposure thing. I'm guessing he already has a lot of Ayuk, Kittle. Like because I mean, I feel like Ayuk over Samuel is the move, but I assume that's an exposure thing, right?
Probably.
It would have to be.
Yeah.
And a uniqueness thing to do it, like flip the ADPs right now, and you go like, oh, there's similar, you know, range of outcomes. Flip the ADPs, and now he's going to have running backs that are like much deeper.
Right.
Oh, man,
Excuse on the clock here. Still not a single quarterback going. Speaking to our,
I'm gonna make you guys feel the pain at wide receiver.
Oh no, not with the Puka. All right, John. Do we just run this shit back? Build the same exact team we just built? What do you think? Oh wow.
Okay. Mike Evans is a run back.
Yeah, I mean, it's a run back, and he's the next, like, I think probably like my next favorite wideout.
Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, this is the equivalent of a piss boy room for this style of draft. Yeah, I mean, he fits the roster, right? The question is, do we get ahead with Laporta now, or do we want to play like some form of elite QB with like Josh Allen and backstack, or
I'm Laporta here. I think this is like getting Laporta at this pick in a dog bowl is going to be really rare. You're live to be one of the only people with Laporta as CMC.
Okay, I like it. It's a good shout.
It would have been too dangerous to let him come back to me.
Yeah, you can't. You don't want to put Pete in that predicament. He's doing it. Yeah, this is looking very piss boyish.
Yeah, very piss boy. One quarterback going in the first 25 picks. That's how you know you're playing with the dogs.
I'm gonna throw some pick'em projections at you guys while we like wait for this stuff. Let's start with my Steelers here. Really get into it. You got to start you off with the ugly, and then bad news, then the good news. Rushing and receiving yards rivals between the backfield of Warren and Najee. Where would you guys give the adjustment in that?
Is it total yardage or is it
total scrimmage yards?
Plus 3.5 on the Warren side.
Sorry, we say that again.
Trailing script.
Yeah. So total scrimmage yards, Najee versus Warren. Who is getting what adjustment?
I said
sorry
it backwards.
Sorry for this disgusting question, but
I said it backwards. Just you back on your bullshit. There's got to be a hidden Najee agenda here.
This is a plus 3.5 Najee side because of game script. They're like leading versus the Browns game script. That's what I'm going with.
It is plus 6.5 Najee. And it's kind of interesting, man. Like people, and this game probably is gross, but like they've got both of these dudes combined for over 100 scrimmage yards. I don't think that they're. I mean, I really do think that these guys are in consideration for dog bowls, and I think that the Browns' backfield is in consideration for dog bowls as well. I understand the total is really bad, but one, like the Steelers' ground game has been better. And two, the Browns are likely to lean on the ground game with DTR back there. And the Steelers' defense, boots on the ground, is extremely banged up. I don't think Minka Fitzpatrick has practiced yet this week. I think he's pretty much trending out. He missed Wednesday's practice, waiting on Thursday's practice. Quan Alexander out for the year with a torn Achilles. This Steelers linebacking group is awful right now. So I just think that they are vulnerable on the ground. I mean, it is big time gal brain, especially when we have like this plethora of running backs available to us. But just for the I told you so equity, I do think that both of these teams' backfields are in play. Just wanted to get that out there. Couldn't leave the stream without mentioning the Steelers at least once. All right, let's look at the Rams rivals. I do love these rivals.
Rivals, we gotta mention too that or was that the one from my cram, or was that the one? I think it was from my cram. We had the DK Metcalf versus Tyler Lockett. We were getting spotted 8.5 with Tyler Lockett. Boy, was that a sweat down the end there.
Yeah. So let's see. Cup versus Metcalf is a rival. I think that's the only rival they have for Cup right now. What would you? This is kind of a gross one to compare, but like, what would you spot? Metcalf is getting spotted here in that rival. What would you spot Metcalf against Cup?
9.5.
Yeah. For yards.
Correct.
Yeah.
Man, I would want to be spotting him more. Like I would feel comfortable with like a 15-yard head start with
15?
Cup.
19.5.
Yeah, that
feels good. That feels pretty efficient. I don't know if there's any kicking ones here, Clay. I'll have to look at the footy stuff, but they've been pretty shy about extra point stuff, which is like where I really like to live.
That's where Nez butters his bread. The extra points pickups.
It's the best, man. It's just like, do you think this team's going to score X touchdowns? Like, yes or no? Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Like Harrison Butker, 2.5 extra points. I know he's not in the main slate, but come on, against the Eagles defense, like I'm surprised that total is not 50.
We're starting to see some plans come together here. Like Big Poppy, we noted that he did this Del McBride, and then boom, he just goes the Kyler Singletary and goes full game stack. interesting to see.
Yeah, wow.
EDN 3 goes with that San Francisco start, but then goes with the 201. Like I don't know, 2 Mostert setup. I don't know.
Do you guys have any preferences on game on like trying to build out a game stack? Me, we talked about Packers Chargers. I think that's an interesting one to look at for
that was the one when I was thinking about it today of like which one, because I actually haven't looked at the pick'em lobby much, but I was like,
well, that'll be
I don't
fun
want to
then.
build out a gross Packers vomit.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're gonna get gross.
Wu-Tang allows me to fill out my plan here. Don't hurt me, Wu-Tang.
Oh, he's timing out.
Okay, I just wanted to get Fields with Komet because I've done so many like Amon-Ra, Laporta, Goff variations, but I have not done much Fields in here. So I get in the Fields Komet with Amon-Ra is fun.
There's Brian Robinson again, like being at the 4-5 turn, dude. Big bet Trav. He's not looking there.
Oh, he is.
Fucking idiot, Nez.
Sorry, it's my first time streaming.
Oh my god. We could do the Goff Laporta, but we're not gonna have a bring back unless we want to do Foreman in the 6th. We could just do DK just because like we think DK smashes. Saquon and play the other side.
Saquon is cool with me. I think that they can do something. Let's go.
We're gonna take Metcalf because we're gonna time out. I don't really like doing the Goff Laporta one there. We could do Chris Godwin and double stack Baker off of the CMC bring back.
I don't hate it, man.
I don't hate that either.
All right.
The Niners are gonna put up points.
Right.
And for Jake Moody, I think doesn't Jake Moody miss a ton of kicks? I'm the kicking expert. I should know that.
Baker double is the Liam Buffalo stack. Where do you get your ideas of me on this show? Like that's the equivalent. Like,
yeah.
Oh, what's our fallback? Yeah, Baker trailing. Yeah, Baker double. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I need to look up Moody.
GA's all over it. He knows it.
Anybody else know footy? Like I know footy is how much. Okay, Moody's actually been fuego. All right, that is 100. I'm sorry. Pick him number 2 is Jake Moody. It's actually going to get pulled because I'm talking about it right now. And Neumy2's the employee of the month.
Gold star. We're gonna come back to.
He's gonna get it renamed. He promised me spice. I still don't know if I have any spice. He might have to lose that.
One of these days, he's just gonna come on stream, and there's gonna be a plaque over his shoulder beside that underdog flag of his, and it's just gonna say "Employee of the Month"
with his headshot.
Yeah,
right on.
What would be? He gets the good parking spot at the front of Bass Pro for the rest of the week.
I was just gonna ask, what's the underdog equivalent of the parking spot? It's probably like in the company drafts, you get the 101.
Yeah,
for, like, all your drafts for the
it's reserved.
It gets freeloaded.
That's amazing.
there's influencer 101s, and then there's company gold star 101s.
Yeah, dude, that would actually be awesome. Because it's just like, God, I got to do another draft with this asshole.
Yeah,
Hope's got the 101 for another.
Sweet Moody Sylvie. You know it, man. You know it.
I want to shout out this Go Cards pick here that I think is pretty sharp. This Darnell Palmer, he was popping up on the injury report as well. But like, man, the game that Gerald Everett was out, it was a showdown slate game, and Donald Parham was used all over the field and was used in the middle of the field as well. And he had like a 20-yard grab. He only ended up with like 6 targets, 4 catches, and like just shy of 50 yards or something like that. But we've seen those 2 tutter games before for an offense that is like hella condensed, and you want to just do like a Herbert double.
Yeah, Everett's out this week too.
It's official that he's out? Okay, yeah.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
I missed that one.
Yeah, and Parham got upgraded to limited on Thursday. Yeah. Unless like Underdog Newsfeed is just like making shit up, then we got bigger problems.
I just want all the Noah Brown is out guys to know that Noah Brown is literally officially listed as questionable. All right.
Okay.
He's not ruled out.
According to more handsome version of
Blame Noah. The other Noah, not Noah Brown. All right, so Pete needs a running back here. He's got the whole league available to him.
Yeah, I mean, this is the spot I live to be in.
You can
Drafting him.
literally just pencil in Baker there for us. Could you imagine a Braxton?
Oh.
What a heat check! What a heat check!
Wow, this dude takes Deebo Samuel the first round, then has Tua fall. It says, when life gives you lemons, you take fucking Braxton Berrios.
Wow, man.
Hey, Chosen Anderson off the roster. Maybe no River
Wait a
Craycraft
second.
back. Here we go.
Did someone take Darrell Henderson?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? Now we're taking Darrell Henderson out here?
With much power comes much responsibility, Pete. You wanted tout life, baby.
That's disgusting.
Oh, you're not going to do Jerome Ford. You're not going to listen.
I am.
Let's go.
Just what's so fucking sick about that. Like, I can't even throw out a gross play that makes me sick to click, and now I'm upset that I can't click it.
The fun thing about that is it's Big Poppy's roster on the end here, and he goes full onslaught that game environment, including Michael Wilson, and then just goes one off Darrell Henderson to just really stick it to you.
Last chance for Gino, unless you're clicking.
Nope,
okay.
No chance.
I just want to say, Big Poppy, I was joking when I floated that Darrell Henderson thing. It's like a dog shit pick. No one should ever do that.
Didn't you hear Nez's makeshift stats that the Seattle run defense is good?
Oh, man. Hoops Guy's news dump is absolutely coming through right now. We got a bunch of Celtics in tonight.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. All right.
I think we want to do Chargers Packers, right?
Marvin Bagley.
Let's do two like we did last week. Let's do one game stack, pick them, and then one of like our favorite plays, hodgepodge kind of thing. We can still should have some correlation there, but I do like that one too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that formula.
You guys like Packers Chargers, or you like Arizona Houston?
I think Packers Chargers just had better projections
numbers
for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Neumy did it. Okay. I see the spice. The spice is on my screen. Go to Aaron Jones. Tell me, do you see spice? John's already distracted by Devin Singletary.
I do. We do have a spice on Aaron Jones.
Let's go.
Okay, hold on. Input lag.
That's decent.
I got a spice
too, man.
Spice. That's a good starting point. I like it.
All right.
Packers side or Chargers side?
So Packers or Chargers side, I think we should like have multiple selections, at least 3, if not 4 from the Packers, and then play like Eckler. And
I like Eckler touchdowns,
right.
But
so we play condensed on Chargers side, and then we play kind of spread on Packers side.
Yeah.
This is it is literally like building a showdown on Redacted, where it's like, what's our build going to be? Is it going to be a 3-2? Is this going to be a 4-1? Like, what are we doing here? Yeah.
It's a lot of fun to think through these things, because it's like, yeah, if you're right, but it's not the nut game, like you still get home. Like, shout out the P.O. Box. Very well wrote up today. So like my suggestion for the Chargers is Eckler touchdown. But we can, if you want to do Keenan like receptions, that's always in play as well. But
it moved up. I had it on my short list coming into our show, and it was at a flat 7.
Just because I'm like slightly worried about the spot, I might just lean total rush and receiving yards for Eckler.
Okay.
But I don't mind.
I like I was gonna say I think I like the rush attempts. Oh man, it's 14 now. He had that consistent track of 14 over and over. And now it's 14.5. I had it at 14 on the other side when I was looking here. Okay, maybe the total is best then.
No, I'll let Nez pound the table. Do you want the TD more? You think that's significantly better?
Yeah, I think that it's a better play if we're like picking between the two. I think the touchdown is he's the goal line back. You know, I mean, it's
they are favorites too. So my hunch is more even against like the spread anyway. So yeah, let's do that. I mean, Eckler's just fancy Tony Pollard, who's fancy Christian McCaffrey. All right,
Many are
let's look
saying.
at the rest of the Packers. I mean, all of these Packers wide receiver numbers are just.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of I was gonna say I like Watson. I like the Musgrave number, 28.5 for Musgrave. The best matchups, I always like looking at the RotoViz matchup rater. Chargers have been beatable everywhere, but Jordan Reed and Musgrave, more from the slot, had the best possible matchups here. Not saying I don't like Watson, although again, he definitely falls into that bucket of like what we win. Like I'd almost rather spice him TD, like if you're doing that, whereas otherwise I would probably play like yards with Dobbs, Reed, or Musgrave.
So like I would agree, but like it is only 37.5 and like one catch and he's like halfway there. It's tough for me.
We should definitely correlate him. Like I think Watson, you definitely correlate with Love passing yards.
227 for Love, that is awesome. I mean, he's gone higher than 227 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times this season.
Wow. Okay.
We think this game. We think this game is going to be a good one.
I will say on the Christian Watson correlation front, his ADOT is 17.3 on the season, 13, 36, 17, 7, 26, 9. Like, I do like the thesis of if he catches one, it gets there, but it is also the what do you win when you win one. Let's go.
I like it more with Love. Yeah, it brings me around on it.
Do you guys like that? You guys like the passing yards or attempts then?
Attempts is pretty nice too, man. But he's gone higher on the yards more.
Well, that's why, because if we're going Watson, I think I want to lean into the yards.
Okay. And is Watson now then our favorite? I took him out to take Love in here. So we got Love and Musgrave correlated. We got the touchdown coming through Aaron Jones. We got Eckler on the other side. And now it's which of these three wide receivers are your guys' favorite? And it's Watson for you?
I'm fine doing Watson. Mm-hmm. It is interesting how in this here's a little another like dog bowl thing. Like, and I like, Nez uses kind of like the pick'ems too to get like a gauge of how the market is. Like Watson's getting drafted. I think it was in like 70%. I'll have to check the tool Bobby stats. Reed and Dobbs in 0. And then you look at their yardage thing and they're all identical here. It's just like, that's another spot. And we've seen Jaden Reed, get loose for some big plays.
Jaden Reed might be the best out of this bunch. As if you want to like look at like moving average, Reed at least has gone over 80 yards twice in the last 4 games. Christian Watson has gone over 80 yards once this season.
So
I mean, I know we're not playing.
Let's do Reed. I feel really good.
I agree. Reed. I think Reed has the better chance of making this happen.
And then we're doing, not only are we correlating with Love, we're also taking the 2 lowest numbers for the receiving yards in Musgrave and Reed. And then they also have the best matchup running most of their routes from the slot and inline.
Okay. Yeah. So the slot is the best matchup we're looking for. That's what we're looking for in this. Okay.
Yeah. So the RotoViz matchup rater, which I always like to look at, and it's been a pretty spot. It actually liked Reed's matchup last week when he scored 2, but I believe he has like the highest on the entire slate in there for the main slate. So I was already kind of on board with that. And then just seeing the numbers here, I like it.
Okay. So we like Reed on this, and we don't care about this 1 rushing yard, blah, blah, blah. Introduces the variance of him going backwards, blah, blah, blah.
That's a trick. They're trying to trick you.
Little trap. Okay, cool.
That's
confidence
how
interval
tries to get us.
Confidence interval.
That
damn Aaron Jones spice. That better not just be.
Well, the thing that is, it brings like I will admit I don't feel as good about this one as I did the Commanders one, just because it was all just like volume counting stats.
Yeah.
Whereas like the 2 touchdowns, like we know how painful like hoping for touchdowns can be.
Oh yeah.
There we go. All right. One's in the private chat. One is in the main chat for you guys.
Boom.
Let the record state that I did not say a lot there on that one, so it will get home.
Does that mean your silence? Are you like this? It's like when we build our.
No, I'm in lockstep. I'm.
Oh, okay. It's like Gretch always does this funny thing when we're huddling for our Shipcast ones and we're talking, and like Pat and I were pretty into the Mark Andrews one, and he's like, I'm done like talking about this one because I just don't feel good about it. It's just like. He's like, I want it on the record that I want nothing to do with this Mark Andrews.
That is, yeah, that's the most Gretch thing I've ever heard.
All right, now let's, John, you kick us off here with your favorite player this week, or who you.
Well, Nez isn't gonna like it because mine was the lower on that 90 whatever for Pollard. I just thought 90 was egregious.
It's pretty egregious.
It's down to 89.5.
Wow. There you go. Like this is where I'm living happy right now.
If we mush Tony Pollard in your 50% exposure, this is how you hedge your Tony Pollard Battle Royale exposure this
year. You're absolutely right. This is the
Pete Dog Bowls of last week, where you didn't get home, but then you came to get unstuck and have a good week by having this pick'em. That's what this represents for you this week, Nez.
I like it.
Can I? Man.
Yeah, Pete.
How about this for a lower? Kenneth Walker's rushing yards is 65.5.
Yeah. So much. I mean, he had around Charbs too.
Charbs. Go ahead.
Well, he had 19 touches last week and still got outsnapped, or 19 carries last week, still got outsnapped, and only put up 64, 65 yards on the ground last week.
Yeah, it's not been good. And I'm honestly just like looking at the spread. They should not be road favorites here with Matthew Stafford back.
I agree, man.
I agree.
So I kind of think that this is gonna, like, if they're not covering, then I think this game's gonna go over because they're gonna have to chase, and I think that that's good for us in this play because we don't think they're gonna be in that positive game script, and like Walker just has been incredibly inefficient. So,
and Rams have been good against running backs.
I like it.
We had to balance our range.
This is the we know ball entry.
Some of the other stuff that was popping on the ETR charts and stuff like that is the stuff that you like, Pete, as well, the Lions stuff.
Yeah, I think it does make sense still to get a correlated one here, a quarterback with a pass catcher.
Okay. We could do, we got this Amon-Ra free square, but we don't have to, we can use it for something else. Or I can use
if we don't want to get spicy with it, I love higher on Laporta 42.5.
Okay. I think we're all in lockstep there. We all think he's tight end 1 this week, right?
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like it.
His role like too, I know he's been a little spotty, but like his target share is still rock solid and he gets used down the field a bit too. 42.5 feels nice.
Like it. Correlates with the Goff higher on passing yards, which is only 230 something.
276.
It's 276 now.
I'm looking at Goff. Yeah.
Holy smokes!
We finally get.
Was it at 230 earlier?
I don't know. Underdog, or I'm looking at stat category on ETR on the right side, and they have it listed at 230.5 underdog projection.
I think the way you would play Goff is probably through completions, right? Because he's this efficiency guy. What he's really good at is hitting those easy completions underneath to Gibbs, to ARSB, to Laporta. But if we don't love this specific one, we don't have to force it with Goff. We could do another QB stack.
I almost like the correlation with Laporta and Fields as much as the Goff one, if that makes sense, because I don't really love any of these price tags on this. It's kind of funny to look that his passing yards is 276.5 and his rushing is half, but yet the combo is
I don't. Yeah, I wonder how they
284.
get to that. Like, there must be
Yeah.
something to that where, they just hope that somebody ignores the pat.
I'll
That's so weird.
I'll give you another one that just going back to the well that worked last week, and his number is very similar. So it'd be Brock Purdy fantasy points with one of his pass catchers.
Mm,
So
Okay.
it's at like 16 or 17 again. I think it was like
He's gone over 3
16.75 last
straight.
week.
that
Yeah.
feels really good.
And then it's just picking who we like best with him.
Okay, let's look at these. CMC
Yeah,
at
last
the
week he was
16.
at 23.84. The week before that against Cincy, he was 20.3. I mean, Ayuk is I'm bummed because last week we did the Ayuk fantasy points. It was at like 10.2
Mm-hmm.
or something. They don't have that up right now.
Yeah, the only fantasy points one we could correlate with is CMC, and that's probably the least positively correlated. I mean, he catches a ton of passes, so maybe it doesn't matter. But I think for us to reach 17 with Purdy, he has to complete a touchdown pass or two to, these auxiliary patch catchers, not exactly CMC, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy though. Like even in a game last week where CFC doesn't get his touchdown, he still has 17.2 fantasy points.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Are you
Just
guys?
model consistency.
Debo Samuel
Ayuk,
has only played 5 games, real quick. Sorry, and
yeah.
he's gone 4 or higher in all but 1.
In receptions?
Correct.
How many?
I know that
receptions does he
that
have?
feels bad, right? Like a Debo reception pick 'em.
Do you know what I would do? Would you just eat the extra 15 to get up to rush receiving yards, just knowing how he's just capable of? I mean, what was his touchdown last week? Was like a 25-yard end around or something?
Yeah. Let me. How many rush attempts did he get last week? I know you lined up out in the backfield a couple times. It's so hard to get his rushing numbers. 29, 11, and 30 in his last 3.
So his
And
last 3 is cumulative was so the Cleveland game, was that the one he got hurt? Or did he just not get involved that game?
I think he did get
What?
hurt. I only see 15% snap share on him.
Okay. Yeah, because against Jacksonville, he had 59 scrimmage yards, and then against Dallas, he had 85 scrimmage yards. And he's doing that on like pretty low volume of receptions and targets. That's why I want that rushing out, I think, with Debo.
So you want to do it as a combo opposed to just taking the rushing.
But then, so I do prefer that in a vacuum, but then it's like, well, then are we not really getting the correlation boost with Brock?
Right,
Exactly.
right.
Yeah. You're getting it if you play yardage through Brock, sort of, kind of.
I mean, it is the matchup is best for Ayuk. This is an Ayuk spot. Crane's cover boy this week has a really good matchup here.
I think I'd just go yards for Ayuk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it too crazy to go with the spice with fantasy points?
Wait, you have spice with fantasy points?
No, I have spice for that. I mean, correlated with Brock.
They might not even let you do that.
The story we're trying to tell is 17 fantasy points, right? So like,
I don't think touchdowns and fantasy points can be paired, anyways. But
there you go.
Okay. I still like this though. I feel like, Ayuk, his production ended up being a little bit muted last week, had that touchdown, but then Kittle had the big play, and then they had their whole let's give Christian McCaffrey touches, and then CMC not being the Jags not being competitive whatsoever.
Right.
But like Ayuk's downfield role too, like he can do this in like 2 or 3 catches.
Yeah. I'm cool with Ayuk.
If we don't love it, We can back out of the Purdy Ayuk if we have another correlation we like more. I want us to feel good about it.
Yeah, it's just that the Ayuk number just feels a
big.
tinge high.
Let's leave it in for 1 second. I want to just look at the Texans because
Okay.
I just want to see what we could do with a Shroud plus pass catcher here. Nico 57, Schultz 50.5. Wow. Robert Woods had a touchdown called back last week.
This goes back to like the tank price in drafts relative to Nico and Schultz numbers.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are completely dead even. You know, I mean, I guess slightly less receiving yards for Schultz, but still.
Yeah, literally dead even everywhere else.
Yeah.
But again, like 57 for Nico.
Yeah, it's not jumping off the page, right? Like if we had clicked here and we saw like 52 for one of them, I would have been jumping up and down, but Ayuk 67. Okay, let me just cross-reference with the full detailed projections and see what the mean outcome yardage they have for Ayuk is. Oh, it's not up yet. Not till Saturday. Okay. Okay. I like it. I don't love it. How about that?
Yeah. Well, look, who are some, let's get back to our roots here. Who are some of the other guys you've been clicking a ton in drafts? We already did our Aaron Jones thing. What are the other stacks you guys have been really liking?
Arizona and Fields.
We didn't look at, what was the commit number?
That's a good one. Yeah, we didn't look at the Chicago at all. Man, 200.5 versus a pass funnel. I mean, I know he loves to run.
Do they not have Komet? Oh, there he is.
There we go. Komet, we got 4 or 40.5 or double time Spice.
Damn.
I kind of want to avoid TDs in this one.
Yeah, I want to try to keep this
a little cleaner.
Keep this kosher. But I do like the 2x there.
Just for reference, I did look at the Fantasy Life projection for Ayuk. They have him at 64.8. So it is like a little, it's a smidge, pricey there.
Yeah.
The Fields one again, like that stacking, it doesn't feel as clean of a correlated stack, right? Because there's just so many ways Fields can go off, and then it's like, well, DJ bus or Komet bus.
Yeah, it feels like if you're gonna play Fields, you play like him as a spicy, and you play him as like a one-off, right?
What about this? Why don't we just mash up and try not to reinvent the wheel? What if we do something with like Love and Musgrave here?
Yeah.
We avoid the spice. Give us a chance to still be right on that stuff, like the 227 and the 27, as far as that correlate, or the 28 there.
Yeah, I'm cool
that feels way better.
Feels way better.
Yeah, I can breathe.
Feels way better. Yeah.
Cool.
Let's
all right. Let's do it. Confidence interval just went from a 5 to an 8 there.
Oh yeah.
Let's go ahead and put one dog bowl entry on that one. Talking buy-ins around here.
Feel like a lot of pressure after last week here.
Did that just disappear on me?
You can still go into your unless you're afraid to show your live pick'em entries. I think you still can get a share feature.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put it in the other thing and see if it's this one or that one. That was a terrible sentence, but did you know what I meant? There we go. No. Okay. There we go.
Perfect.
Sweet. All right.
Beautiful. I'll put it in the private chat for you guys too.
I was building on my screen with us there, so I'm good.
There you go. Beautiful.
I love it.
I actually do love this. I'm falling in love with this love stuff. No pun intended.
Yeah. It's gonna, it'll be painful, but trust the process. All right, dudes. This was a fun time as always. I know we're on a different channel than we were before, but if for some reason you guys are not subscribed to the BadgeBros channel, Make sure you guys are subscribed. Let the people know kind of what, now that you guys are bringing some shows over here, what is like the full content schedule here?
Yeah, it's gonna be Monday, which is the recap stuff, football, basically football only, and then we jump into a little Monday night football short slate stuff, and then some hoops if we got some time there. Tuesday is a hodgepodge day, usually just hoops only, and then Wednesday is the big definitive primer, the show that was on Underdog Daily previously.
That
Now
Nez
just
forgot to
moves over
upload to
here.
the pod feed this week.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Did I really?
I know, because I listened to
Classic.
it when it's in pod form on the go, and I didn't get to listen this week.
Christ alive.
Yeah, and then Thursday we'll mix in a little bit of hoops and the showdown slate, and then Off and On the Clock now resides here 3 p.m. Eastern on Fridays. Most of those other shows are starting between 2 and 5. We're gonna iron down when we square away some stuff behind closed doors. We're gonna iron down more definitive schedule on where the other stuff goes live, and then don't be afraid to click that, join the membership, get that sweet little badge icon beside your name, and we're going to start doing some solos, paywall stuff. So Nez has been doing some solo hoop stuff. I've been doing the Rotorun solo run occasionally for the Thursday night football and stuff. We're mixing in some of those for just our members to make it worth people's while to keep coming back. But the main football stuff will be Monday, Wednesday, Friday here, and then the Tuesdays and Thursdays are hoops and a little bit of showdown stuff mixed in.
Beautiful. I am a YouTube member of the channel. Looking forward to my premium content here. Whatever happened, wasn't there a Neumy After Dark channel or something that was existing for a bit too?
There was. Yeah, it's still up. The archives are still there. They can't they can't go away. There's
evergreen content.
Yeah, exactly what it is.
Neumy Unhinged.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. All right, appreciate all of you guys hanging out. If you or a YouTube member over on my channel, I'm gonna have Kyle Dvorak on from Rotoworld for DFS After Dark on Saturday. That should be a blast. And then I got my cram Sunday morning. But otherwise, I'll just see you guys in the lobbies here over the next couple days. Got to get all these entries in. So for John, for Not Neumy, for Nez, I'm Pete. This is Off and On the Clock. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Peace.